welcome to another episode of the G.I. Joe New News Review. I am here with the head of Avac Studios, Coby Brown. Yay! Hello.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me on.
I hesitate to ask how you're doing because I know you've had a rough time of it.
Yeah, a little bit. But we don't want to get all grim on it, on everybody. Let's just move on by,
Okay, I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to move on by. So I want to go in and ask you a little bit about your company and what you do, because I don't typically cover customs and that sort of stuff, but I want to talk to you about it because you're a friend of mine, and I think you're cool, and you do a lot of good work for the community and Assembly Required, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to talk with you about the work that you do. So can you go into a little bit of the work that you do with customs and so on?
Well, like when I started or what I'm doing now, because they are very different.
You can go with where you started, and we can transition into what you're doing now.
Well, when I first started, it was mostly or mainly with vehicles or play sets and working with rattle cans and stuff. But having a hard time finding parts for certain things I wanted to do, I turned to casting, and that's the short and long run of it. But I did go to school and get a degree in sculpture and printmaking, and those kind of go together with casting. Although I was working with cast iron and bronze, now I'm working with plastic. When you do those kind of degrees, somebody forgot to tell me how expensive the facilities are to pour bronze, or have a printing press. So casting little small parts for action figures kind of combined both those in a much smaller area. It was easier to work with and happened to be my hobby too. So they just kind of melded together, and here I am.
Cool. So you've been a lifelong G.I. Joe fan?
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry about my glass. I'm new to glasses. So if you're getting a reflection here. What?
I am too, fairly, because these are reading glasses.
I made it 51 with 20/20, and now the hardest thing is leaving my glasses everywhere. I have 3 pairs, and I keep rotating all 3 pairs because they end up everywhere, and I'm just not used to admitting to myself I'm half blind. Maybe, I don't know.
Well,
nearsighted or whatever.
I'm gonna have to do similar. I have to go get mine checked and get a stronger prescription on my reading glasses.
Do that. Yeah, these are just crappy reading glasses. I should get some flashy ones,
Yeah.
Big white ones.
Get those ones that are like red tinted, and they
like from the 70s.
Yeah,
man, like a 70s drug dealer, like Kingpin.
No, what's his name? Like the artist. What was that artist guy's name? Had Andy Warhol. Yeah. Andy Warhol glass.
Okay. Yes. Rose tinted glasses.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So no, it's fine.
I started collecting G.I. Joe in 1982 when it started. My buddy Lance bought me straight arm Snake Eyes for my birthday in November that year, and I got hooked, and I stopped collecting when I went to college. So 92 is when I stopped collecting. I picked it back up in 1998. When I was living in California, I started hitting the Toys R Us somewhere out near Fremont, and just started loading up the room with it, and haven't quit since. I never got rid of my stuff, so my mom fortunately saved it for me in her attic, which
Wow.
eventually had a fire. So I got it out of there just in time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. That was, see, extreme good luck. I'll chalk
Well,
that.
that's convenience, but yeah, that is good luck. You're right about that. Because yeah, I continued on. I never stopped, but I didn't get everything for that entire time. I dabbled a little here, a little
Yeah,
there, a
me
little
too.
here.
I did too. Like my girlfriend would buy in high school would buy me stuff once in a while, or I mean outside high school, um, but it was
Hope that was a
I was
keeper.
I just went nuts with it. I had to get everything. So like if I picked it back up, I had to be very careful. And when I did pick it back up, I was very selective. When the modern sculpt came out and all that, I was just picking up Cobra stuff, just the O-ring stuff, and I was going to conventions and stuff, but I was very selective, and that's mainly because I didn't like the construction of a lot of the newer. I love the characters, but I wasn't really thrilled about the body construction. It was just so out of proportion and comical to me.
The new
Um,
sculpt
but
era.
once the 25th rolled around, 2006, 2007. Oh man, I let my bank account have it, brother.
4-inch. Yeah, 4-inch was pretty good. They did a lot of good stuff with 4-inch. The new sculpt era was a unique thing. Daryl DePriest told me that that is not how he would have chosen to go forward because he had become the head of the GI Joe brand in 2000
But
and
you can see
2000.
it evolving. You can see. I mean,
Yeah,
they had to go through that period to
yeah,
get to what we got in Pursuit of Cobra. It just
yeah.
it, we all evolve in our own lives, and the line did too, and it matured. Unfortunately, once it hit maturity in purest form, it got canceled. you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, because
Yeah.
of there was a lot of mistakes by Hasbro and retail decision making
Oh yes. Yep.
situation. So it's a lot of choices that ended up affecting it. It's all history under the water now, under the bridge now. There's not much you can do about it. Let's hope they can make better decisions going forward. That's the key, right? Learning from your
If they
mistakes and
keep
moving forward,
if they
more
keep making
informed.
toys, yes.
So, you went to school for casting, you said, and
No,
so on.
actually, I started as a painter,
Oh,
and I took a printmaking class, and by the end of it, I was already doing TA work for the lead printmaker there, and got really in good with him. And one of my main focuses was on boats, and I was doing a lot of printmaking using or etchings using boat plans and stuff, and which uh, directed me to the sculpture department where I actually started building those boats,
wow.
real life boats. And so by the end of it, I was getting a sculpture printmaking degree. I wasn't doing really any painting, but so that's what I ended up getting a degree in. And by the end of the sculpture experience is when I first started doing casting, and we had a casting department where we casted iron, and the sculpture teacher told us to go out and roam the town for cast iron bathtubs. So we
Huh.
went and got cast iron bathtubs, broke them all up in tiny chunks, and then burned off the ceramic off, and then we melted down the iron and poured our lost wax or sand casts, and poured them in bronze or iron or aluminum. And so after I graduated, I got a job in a foundry where I would chase. It's called chase. It's the 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 foundry would bring out parts, and you would either assemble bronze furniture or bronze public art or bronze, uh, you know, uh, museum art, that you would put on a pedestal or something as small as that, or something as big as a public sculpture. I helped sculpt a public sculpture here of three firemen in town.
Wow.
So we would bring the parts, and I would weld them together, balance them all out, plumb them out. It was a nightmare. And then grind them all down and chase down all the welds so that it blended in with the art of sculpture. But I signed, pneumatically signed this guy's name at the bottom of these furniture pieces on a daily basis, and it just drove me nuts. He'd come in and he'd just like, all right, thanks for putting my name on all your stuff. It just, I don't know. It was a good experience, but it taught me how to use Dremels and little pneumatic tools and doing little parts. But after that, I pretty much became a full-time carpenter and had gallery shows and stuff like that. But on the side, I would tinker with my G.I. Joe toys and start painting them, and it was mostly the vehicles. I didn't really like doing the figures. I just liked doing the vehicles for some reason. I wanted squadrons of things as a kid, squadrons of Rattlers, squadrons of his tanks, because you always saw them in the cartoon rolling out hundreds of them, but you're lucky to get one of each,
Exactly.
So, but once you have a ton of those, you have a big mass of black with his tanks anyway. And it's like, so I started painting some, and I just wanted to break up the color a little bit. And while, in my long travels of carpentry, I worked with a guy that worked in a finished cabinet shop, and he was a master of just taking damaged furniture and just making it all go away. I mean, it was incredible. His camouflaging ability was, he worked in a finish shop for 12 years. So, and he really knew how to paint. And so he taught me how to paint better with a rattle can. And, and once I became good with that, I got bored with just repainting them. I wanted to make them functional in other ways, and do something different than just move around and kill or be killed. The glass canopy, it's mostly be killed.
Right.
So my favorite Joe was always Toll Booth. I have a whole story based on Toll Booth on how that even came about. Toll Booth, but I always liked the idea of the idea of war. When you're building war, what you're doing as kids is you're building forts on each side. You're either going against each other, right?
Yeah.
Well, what you are a toll booth when you're doing that. You're building the theater of war. You're CB. You're putting bridges down. You're putting camps up. You're building fortifications. All this is necessary. I mean, look at the trench warfare in Ukraine right now. A bulldozer is way more valuable than a tank.
Yeah, it's true.
You're a tank. You're a coffin on treads. At least if you have a bulldozer, you can dig a ditch and jump in the dirt. So I always like the idea of it's the bridge layer is decked with cannons and everything, but I mean, that's kind of my idea when I came about with the HISS tank and the HISS dozer. A civilian core. Yeah, exactly. A civilian core of the Cobra legions, that they may have a weapon on them, a sidearm or a knife, but they've got a hard hat on and they're building the theater of war. They're building the theater. They're building your fort, and once the fort's done, it's time for warfare, right?
Well, the thing about that is, Kurt Busiek said every Joe is somebody's favorite. So I've never heard that someone's favorite was Toll Booth. And I find that fascinating because that's very unique to you and your personality and who you truly are. My favorite Joes are the Crimson Twins because I'm a twin. And me and my twins did the whole hitting each other and feeling the pain and blah, blah, blah. And then Spirit because I'm Native American. And I like the fact that there's Native Americans in G.I. Joe.
Airborne was another. He was number 2.
Well, he was.
Another Native American.
Right. Yes. But, it's personal to me. That's why they're my favorites. And Toll Booth seems like he's personal to you. That's why he's your favorite.
Well, he symbolizes construction. I didn't drive bulldozers. I
No.
always wanted to, but I did, from framing to trim carpentry to, in fact, I have a kitchen that I did on like 30th floor here in Kansas City. It's on YouTube. There's a video on YouTube with the kitchen getting destroyed.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you ever heard of Tech Nine?
No.
It's a Kansas City native rapper here. It's got good music, but they they rented it out, and it was owned by two doctors, and then they rented it out from a producer. And if you go to House Party on YouTube, you can see a beautiful condo we did. We spent 2 years. Every single atom of that building was custom, dude. Every
Wow.
single thing. Custom made at a shop. We redid the ceiling, the coffered ceiling, like 6 times. It was, but I got in a car wreck in 2011, and I was still doing the Avac slab thing on the side, and then we had finished that condo, and we had been working all over the place, and we just did very, very high-end specialized stuff. And that sort of just bled into how I built my vehicles. I want them to function smoothly, but also have a lot of, playability, but also very crisp, like they were just bought off the shelf.
Yeah, this
And
looks like this could have been right off the shelf.
Yeah, this is
there's rivets.
This was a Decepticon version of that.
Gears.
But this was the first version. That's the AR class version.
Right.
So there are 2 versions, but
that's awesome. I love that. That looks so beautiful. I've been wanting to have mine painted. I've got my other vehicle in a paint place to be painted now. Eventually, I'm going to have this painted into Dreadnought colors. For some reason, whenever I do the class, I never fall in line with the way it's supposed to. I customize it the way that I
That's
want
good.
to.
That's good. I encourage that, But
That's
as long as
cool.
you got the basics down, like painting techniques and stuff like that. But take it wherever you want to go with it, But as I was saying, we got in a car wreck around 2011, and I just decided, I got a degree in sculpture and printmaking. I'm just gonna, rather than, because people had been asking me, hey, I know you do casting or vehicle parts, and do you want to do this head for me? And so it just kind of snowballed, and it's like, I'm just going to do it full time. And so I've been doing this since 2011 full time, but technically since 2008. So yeah, it's been a while. It's hard to believe.
Yeah. Wow, that's wonderful. I think it's wonderful because you're very talented. I've had the hands-on experience to witness your capabilities at AR for the last
that's crazy,
4 or
man.
5
Everything
years.
happens so quick.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's been 4 or 5 years, does it? The first time that I saw you, I don't know if I was in the first custom class there with you the first time I went, but I know I was in the second, third, and now fourth time that I've gone. So every year it's cool. I love it. It's all kinds of fun stuff, and you seem like you're having a really good time running around in there, helping people and doing this and that. I don't know if I could do that, but you seem like you're enjoying yourself.
Man, it's just adrenaline, really, because I don't often find out, a lot of times all the details when I get there. So it's like baptism by fire, I guess. I mean, because there's been 3. There's been 3 classes.
So then I've been in all 3 classes then.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
I thought there was one before.
2 vehicles. The first one was the bulldozer. The second was the Dreadnought APC. Right. And then the third was the 6-inch Roddy.
Well, then that's okay. Then I've been in all 3 classes.
You have completed the set, my friend.
Well, but I love it. Because I am not a customizer. I usually go to my friends, and I say, "Hey, can you paint this?" Or, "Hey, can you make this different or whatever?" And sometimes I'll buy figures from them and this and that and stuff like that. And because I'm I'm not an artistic, creative kind of guy. I do it in the class because I pay for the class, so I'm gonna do something. And you guys helped me out a lot for Rowdy here. You guys really helped me out, and I
There
went with a
it is.
I went with a different body than the body that you was suggested. Was I think it was Outback that was suggested, and I was
Yes.
like, but
Either Outback, yeah.
it didn't look like Rowdy Piper to me because Rowdy Piper has the ringer shirt. I
Right.
explained that to you and a bunch of the people, and they were like, "You're right, Dave. He does have the ringer T-shirt." And so I thought the Bazooka Tiger Force had the ringer T-shirt, and he looked better. So that's what I went with, and I like it. I think it looks really good. But you guys helped me with the fine paint. I did some of the big painting because I can get into big space, but I can't get the fine. So yourself, Alex Bainter, even Carson Metaxas pitched in to help me with my figure.
Yeah, it was a group effort.
Here's a group effort. So now he was created by all of us.
Well, I wish I could do more customs, but unfortunately it's like, getting out the door. I mean, getting orders out the door is always paramount, of course.
Of course.
I try to
Whew,
uh-oh,
you got to take care of your customers first.
gravity. Yeah,
Yeah, lovely.
there's I try to get orders out, within about 3 weeks. So, but sometimes the bigger ones can take a little longer. But lately I've had a lot of mold tears. So,
What? Wow.
like when I was shut down, I spent a lot of time replacing old molds, but I also did new ones.
Yeah,
Apparently, I needed to do more replacement molds.
gotcha.
So I've been in any downtime I get, I have to kind of do that kind of thing. And so I do have a lot of new stuff coming, but at the same time, I've been just kind of laying low just due to the bad luck I've had lately. And so that time when I am laying low, I'm not playing video games. I'm making new molds or something. It's just,
Well, you got to
I don't,
invest in your business if you're going to
yeah,
keep it going and growing.
yeah. Well, I've had a lot more time to like it did slow down just out through the holidays, and I was kind of glad I could get some stuff down like some molds, but I also was able to finally get out some. So I have figures and stuff out of boxes and finally put stuff in places, and finally figure out what do I want to sell, what I want to keep. Um, it's usually falling on the I want to keep side, but
Of course.
yeah,
Fortunately, our space does not want us to do that. Our
I know.
space wants us to let go, but it's harder than you think.
Yeah, as you can see behind me.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
yeah,
Um,
little tower of terror drones there, and
wow.
some action force behind me. And if I pan over here, I think you can see a squadron of
Wow. Tomahawks.
and rattlers and sky strikers.
Wow, that's a pretty cool place.
Trying not to drop the computer just a second. The cargo plane there. There you go.
Holy smokes, look at that.
Hold on, you want to see something really scary?
Sure.
This is where I go meditate, where I don't really meditate.
Well, what you do is probably what calms you and makes you relax, right? All this stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Because doing what I'm doing here, as much effort as it takes sometimes to get these situated. It's what I enjoy talking about GI Joe, talking about toys, you know,
Yes.
hanging out with my friends. This is what makes my life worth it, you know?
Yeah, I haven't really shown this before because I just kind of started getting it together. I kind of had to shred this room to get rewiring done in my lab, so I didn't do much with the room itself, but load it with toys.
Wow, this is incredible, Coby. Holy cow. You know what? The last time I was at AR, we got to visit David Mooncraft's house. I think we need to come visit yours.
Oh, a cribs? Do a cribs?
Yeah, AR
Just,
Cribs,
just
do a tour. Get a bunch of us to come over.
there you go. Yeah, you're invited. Here's some casting pots here. Behind them
Wow,
is some just aisle racks, I guess. There you go.
wow, that is incredible.
So there's my casting pots. Those are empty. These are actually full. You want me here? I'll just open one up here. Got a second?
Yeah, this is incredible. I love this.
There
Getting
you
it
go.
right into the getting right into the soup, right in the sauce. This is what I love. I love learning about this stuff.
That's the messy table I cast at. If you can see it, I can't really see what you're looking at.
Well, I see a table with stuff on it.
I wasn't expecting this, but why not?
Hey, life brings surprises at
Got
every
my
turn.
little weird little toy thing going on here. Rick and Morty. Got an
Huh.
old wagon. I got a bunch of his tanks here, as you can see, one after another. And
So you must have to like collect a lot of parts. So do you go to that one guy's store and just rummage through his store, finding all kinds of parts and things like that for what you're working on?
I used to until I started casting, and then I didn't need to.
Ah, I see.
So here we go.
Let's see what's in there.
Looks like some payload arm, MMU arms, and some red shadows.
Wow. We're really getting into the sauce now, people. I hope you're
Yeah,
enjoying this.
there's my there's my messy casting. Well, you know, it's still more clinical down here. I have a casting. I mean, a processing studio out back, so all the dirty work goes on out there.
Ah. Well, this must be a pretty big house that you have, because that room that you're in right there, that thing's huge.
Yeah, I think the guy that the guy that sold to me, it was a musical studio.
Ah.
So I ripped through it, put a new electrical box in there, and I just didn't bother doing this. What's the point? I mean, this is not a big house at all. It's a little small Cape Cod in a Tudor neighborhood.
Wow.
So yeah, we're running out of space. Plus, my daughter's going to be a teenager next year. So,
Oh boy.
well, April. Jeez, this year.
Well, you got that nice, lush, long hair there, Coby.
I
You
know,
can
not
kiss
for
that
long.
goodbye.
I'm chopping it off.
You can kiss that goodbye when your teenagers get of age.
No, this is going. This is by my own hand here soon. This
Donate
might
it
be
to
the
like a
last public experience. The last public appearance with this hippie hair, man.
no. You should donate it to like a cancer.
I've already talked with the lady that her son did, a guy I grew up with.
Yeah.
He did it, and it has to be a certain length.
Oh.
And just I went around here. I'm not going, a Full Metal Jacket.
Okay. Good. I hate to see that. I like the ponytail and long Coby. He's cool.
Yeah, speaking of that, I just might do that. So, pardon me. Go ahead.
Um. So yeah, you have to get a lot of parts and stuff like that. So how did the planning and the thought process of what the theme for assembly required? Do you work on that with that team and
Yeah.
to come up with what we're gonna get each year? Like
Well,
one of
basically,
these was obviously a dreadnought theme. One of them was Iron Grenadiers, and one of them was I can't remember what the hiss was. What
actually,
year was
can you
that?
can you hold one second?
Yep.
All right.
Hello, Ronnie. Thanks for joining us on this stream, talking customs with Avac Studios. Coby Brown.
All right. All right. So, yeah, I've been working kind of, I guess, uh, I guess Travis put it well at the show. The fifth Beatle, I guess.
The fifth Beatle.
Um, kind of stand in the shadows and just nod my head, maybe the tambourine once in a while. No, I've been working with doing exclusives with some shows for a while. I worked with Coil Club and then with Assembly Required. I remember I couldn't go to the first one. I was getting married, I believe. Uh, but Gary Goggles convinced me to go to the second one and bring my uh, Cobra Mountain uh, diorama that I had at the 2009 GI Joe show, and it was kind of the construction of the Terradrome uh,
Wow.
with all the hiss dozers and stuff. So it was huge. So I had to get a trailer and I hauled it up to Des Moines, and we set it up in a comic book store at Jay's Comics. Um,
Wow.
but there was a Magic the Gathering tournament thing going on at the same time, so we had to kick them out, and then we finally, all hauled in. Everyone hauled in the parts, and we got it set up. And but that was, the first one I went to. The second one, and I met Steve and Brian, and we became friends. And at the same time, I was doing the CoilCon exclusives with John Creemans and that crew, and so we just kind of went in between them and helped them with their shows and set up there, and just did that for years. And AR is still going, and so basically what happens is Brian has his ideas, and there's a lot of them, no shortage of them. The guy's an incubator for amazing things.
Oh yeah.
And Travis, the whole crew's just awesome. And so now with Mark II Designs, he's helping us with the 3D printing. Well, he's doing the 3D design, and Travis will print that 3D design, and he will send the 3D print to me, where I finally figured out the magic of getting it done, because there's been some non-compliance with my silicone and their printing ink, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the right term. I don't do 3D printing myself, but I work with them a lot, but I don't actually print the pieces or design them. I'm a hands-on sculptor more than I am a computer sculptor. That's a whole nother discussion. But
Well, I talked to Corey Cantaloupe a while back, and he started as a hands-on sculptor. He says, but the industry has changed, and he
it
had to
has,
change
it
with it.
has, it has, and um, I got a printmaking degree. And that what printmaking did for the world it gave more people the opportunity to have an education. It changed everything. So it put a lot of stone etchers out of business.
Yeah.
I it's like every technology, like photography to digital. I
Right.
mean, I shot 35 like crazy, and then digital came in and replaced it. And my wife was a wedding photographer. We're doing 30, actually um, um, printing in a dark room, that kind of thing. So
Oh, well, the
you
old-fashioned
can't
way.
stop progress, and
Right.
that's just what it is now. And so, but what happens is Mark will do the design, and he doesn't like to print, and so he'll send the file to Travis, and Travis will send that to me, and I will make a mold of it. Usually fails on the first. I don't think it will now, because the problem is with 3D prints, um, is that they have to be cured, you know,
Right.
and there's all kinds of nicks and crannies that don't get cured properly. So our cure was to do it in clear so that it would, penetrate everything. And even that didn't work. And so it worked better. I mean, because I did testing on it first, but then when you enclose the whole thing, you never know what's going to happen until you open it. And then so the next one I did, I painted it. I just used my model color and painted it with a brush, without leaving any brush marks, so that I could because any brush mark anything you leave is going to be replicated with silicone, even tampos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it leaves a shadow phantom tampo.
Huh.
But it has, like, silicone has uh, what's it? Hmm, think of it. Uh, it has a mineral in it that counteracts with whatever ink they're using. So as long as it has a coating over it, as long as it's primed, I think we got it figured out. So it's a process, a learning process. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And so now it doesn't matter if it's clear or not. I have a whole bin of useful 3D prints that I can use. I just got to paint them.
Don't
So
wanna stay up. So,
yeah, it's all right. Usually my cat does that for me.
that's okay. Well, that's cool. So,
And then usually I get that done about a month before the show.
a
So
month.
I'll take that mold and I'll make as many as I can for the kids or whoever comes to the class, and then whatever's left over is sold at the store, at the show. I mean,
There's not a lot of people in those classes because it's gotta be more difficult to do that many, for that many people. There's what, like 30 people, 20 people usually in those classes? I
well,
can't remember.
I usually do an edition around 40 or 50, and with
Oh,
6-inch coats, that's a lot.
yeah.
Um, uh, and that's the thing with resin, has that advantage, that resin has an advantage over 3D flexible prints, because they are more flexible, and they are easier to do. So I've heard. Uh,
Yeah, I've heard the
I've heard
same
a
thing.
backup of flexible ink in a 3D printer is not fun to clean up. But so um, but 3D printing changed a lot. I closed down in 2021 to revamp a lot of stuff my in my studio and other things, and make molds and replace things that I just couldn't do while open. And it took a lot longer than I wanted to, but I accomplished most of the things I wanted to do. But in that time, the the interest in 4-inch went to 6-inch, and everybody being closed in for the pandemic, and the growing interest at the same time, 3D printing, enabled everybody to, if they wanted something, they just print it.
Right.
And I'm all for that. But things changed a lot in a real short amount of time. So going from a store that basically concentrates on 4-inch accessories to 6-inch accessories is a hard aircraft carrier, a hard flag to turn around.
Yeah.
Here, give me 1 second. I want to show you 2 molds.
Okay.
The difference between the sizes.
Sure. This is really fascinating, and I love learning about this stuff. And hope everybody out there enjoys learning more about this. It's really cool. If you have an opportunity, you should go to Assembly Required in Des Moines, Iowa. The dates for this year are November 14th and 15th. There's some really cool updates and sneak peeks about what they're going to be theming this year's Assembly Required. Brian Sauer is always working and coming up with cool ideas, like Coby said. So it's going to be phenomenal. And I was trying to give him ideas. I don't know if he took any of my ideas for this next one, but it should be really cool. I have a ball. There's so much stuff to do.
Well, hey, sorry, brother.
No, that's fine.
I was hoping to find a code along the show, but I don't. Sure. Kind of in disarray right now. So here's give you a size perspective. Here's a zombie Viper and a 6-inch coat for the Roddy mold.
Wow.
Here's a 4-inch mold.
Wow.
So the amount of material that goes into making a silicone mold is significantly higher and more expensive.
Wow.
So if you're going to make one, you want to know that it's going to be in demand, first of all.
Yeah.
And that it's made right, obviously, and that it'll last at least 40 or 50 pours before it starts showing signs of wear.
Right.
So I think the 6-inch size is more compatible to 3D printers, but I'm just not sold on their flexible material. I might be uninformed, but it seems like the resin has a much better advantage.
It does. I think you're right. But I've seen people like the Valaverse people say that their accessories are very brittle. And then obviously Hasbro
The flexible ones?
Valaverse.
The flexible parts are?
I guess I'm not entirely sure. I only got one Valaverse figure.
I thought it was the rigid. I thought it was the rigid parts that were a problem. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it was, but I know the Hasbro ones, the accessories, were too flimsy, and they've finally went back, and now they're at a right place where people are happy with them. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I've had that issue a few times. It's mostly because you don't mix it well enough, like shake up your cans of resin. That can happen, but I try to shake them up every night.
Oh, okay.
But cool. That's on the micro level. I don't know about them,
because that's all done over in China.
The mineral in my silicone, it's platinum. That's what counter reacts with that's what, and that's sourced in Ukraine. So that's not helping the cost any.
No, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not. So then
to top it off, I forgot to tell you, my supplier closed their doors.
Oh no.
Yes. So I used to be able to just hop in my car and, take 20 minutes to go get what I needed. I'd have to dodge a pit bull, because she was a lady alone selling the stuff. But I got to bypass the hazardous cargo cost that's going to now hit me as far as shipping. But But I did hop away for a second. I just wanted to show you. Now before we did the customs, class, we did exclusives for the show. We work with Marauder, or we just go round up as many figures as we could. I think that was before Marauders, especially with CoilCon. But
Right.
I don't know if you'd like. Here's one of the exclusives we did.
Yeah, I have all those.
Yeah, I did that head for him,
Cool.
and then he did the drawing for it. So it just kind of comes together. We talk on the phone, and sometimes I can talk your ear off. So I pity Brian sometimes, but it does come together. It now that we got like so many more engines running and putting it together, it's getting a lot more smoother and more predictable.
From what I gathered from Brian, he said doing those was cost prohibitive, so there wasn't going to be any more of those
Yeah,
figures.
yeah. There's those figures, and then this is way back in the day.
I remember Nithman. I love that Nithman figure.
I did. Yeah, this is Coil. Yeah, did this head for Coil.
Wow.
Naja
That's cool.
Boot.
Huh.
Then CoilCon, more CoilCon.
Yeah, I'd heard about CoilCon, and a good friend of mine went a couple times, and then after that, they closed their doors. So I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, the last one I went to was in not Dayton. Yeah, it was near Dayton. Yeah, it was Dayton. I think 2000. God, remember.
Probably like 2002, maybe was the last one. Maybe
2000 what?
2.
No, no. These, I mean, went up to like 2014, 15.
Oh, and that was it.
Yeah. In fact,
I
that's
could have sworn they went longer than that because my friend went to it not too long ago.
the first CoilCon I went to. We this was in the a parking lot in the back of the. Well, no, it was a parking lot of a garage that Todd from Kokomo Toys. Kokomo Toys originated out of a garage in his backyard, and that's where CoilCon was. And
Wow, I
Gary
didn't know that.
Gary Goggles got me to go to that too, and I joined. Well, we just sort of met all through with James and all those guys, and we just went to JoeCon and then started doing those shows, and that's where I got the
So what was?
Aaron Dietrich CoilCon.
Oh yeah, that's cool. When was their last year though? I thought it was like 2021 or 20 or something.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure, to be honest. 2018 or so.
Wow.
I mean, it got harder to go since I had a you know I was tending the lab, but also a stay-at-home dad. So
Gotcha.
she's 12 now, so it's a little easier to start cutting away to Joe Fest now and everything. But normally when we do cons, it would be a family affair. So my wife would always love to go to JoeCon and go to Joe Fest and CoilCon and Assembly Required, because she got to go off and do things, and then with JoeCon there was always the sightseeing addition you could add on to, so I could geek out and she could get her fix with seeing new places, but it also, there were also times where I just slept on the floor with the dudes, just with 8 of us piled in a room. But it's harder. The older you get, the harder. I mean, especially with me, I snore, so no one wants to hear me.
We're all there. We've all been there. Trust me.
So hopefully I'll
Um,
be at Joe Fest this year. I haven't been since 2018. It's been a while.
well, I look forward to seeing you. It's going to be a really big one this year, probably our biggest.
Yeah.
Yep. They've got a lot of guests, a lot of different things. We're trying to really ramp it up, make it our biggest one. So it's going to be a good one. I think that'll be a good one for you to go to. There'll be a lot for you to do. A lot of companies, you can see a lot of the customs that other companies are making. A lot of, I
Oh
shouldn't
yeah.
say customs, but products that other companies are making, and you can look at all that stuff, and you could probably talk to a lot of those people.
Yeah, it's a super trek across from Kansas City to Atlanta. Well,
Yeah.
Augusta, but um, that's not. I'm not fond of driving through Atlanta. I don't like it at all. I was driving through
Uh,
there the last time I drove through there. We're doing 90, and a cop actually pulled up right next to us, going 90, and told us to go faster
huh.
to keep up with traffic.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you, dude.
I'm
Like,
shocked
man.
because Georgia is nothing but police giving tickets for speeding. So I'm astonished that that happened.
Yeah, it was rush hour, so it wasn't a good time.
Oh
But
boy.
I mean, I've been through there. Every time I've been through there, it's been a challenge. But I mean, I don't, I don't really like to fly. I mean, I like the process of it. I just don't like the whole um, cattle process of it.
Yeah,
I,
it
I
is a
love
pain.
the I love the feeling of flying and everything. Don't get me wrong, but so I like to drive. We like to drive, and so we'll turn it into like if we're going to go all the way to Atlanta and we're stuck here in landlocked in Kansas City, we're going to hit the beach not too far their way, you know.
Yeah.
So it turns into more a weekend with the boys into like a family vacation, and shing shing.
Yeah,
So
it costs a lot of money for a lot of these trips. Trust me, every time I come up there to Des Moines, Iowa, it's not cheap. I do it
yeah,
because I love it and I want to be with my people. And this is my people, the GI Joe community. They're my people.
yeah.
I like.
I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate that it's only 3 hours for me. But if it weren't, that would be the one time a year I would splurge and would get on a plane if I had to go. Um, it's a different feel than most shows. It's
Oh yeah.
I like to call it comfy.
It's
It's a
a
comfy show.
family, I call it a family event, like a community event, not necessarily a convention. And I've explained this to many people and stuff. It's got a different feel like you just described. There's a convention in the middle of it, but it's community coming together, like-minded people on a brand that we all love and talk. And a lot of times we don't even talk about the brand when we meet together. Some of us do, but most of us don't talk about the brand. We talk about our families, what we're doing, our work, this, that, or the other. But it's a community event. I
I
kind of
think
look
this
at it
past
like
one was me doing the stupid things I did to my youth. I think I think I mumbled some of that out.
had a few too many drinks, I guess, huh?
Probably. It's my one time a year.
Um, but I look at it like kind of like the Shriners or the Masons, like they had in the Flintstones, the Moose Lodge, where they would go and they wear their moose hats, stuff like that.
Yes,
That was
David.
their
It's just like Eyes Wide Shut, man. The secret handshake.
yeah, not quite. It's a little bit more fun than that, I think. But yeah, it's funny. Um, So you work with all these guys creating the stuff, but how do you come up with themes? Does Brian does he say, "Hey, we're doing Iron Grenadiers this year. What do you think we should do?"
Yeah,
And
he throws it out to a few of us at the end of the show, and kind of just test the waters a little bit. Um, but if he doesn't do it, that year he does follow up on it because it's a good idea,
Right.
and he's able to gather more stuff, I think, in his mind and what he wants to do with it. But once he sets it, he's like, okay, that's the theme. So I'll wait whatever it is I have to cast. Hopefully as soon as possible. But I mean, the sooner I get it, the more I can make.
Well, like for instance, this Roddy Piper. Let's see. You had to make the head. It came with 2 or 3 heads. I think it came with a
Yeah,
Iron
and
Grenadier helmeted head.
Mark
Came
did
with
all
a
that. There was a large process of it going back and forth. I mean, we're all in a chat together, and we all see what other people are working on or kind of challenges they're coming up with, and yeah, there were some challenges with fitting the hair to the head and getting it just right. From one computer system to the next, I can imagine. And once they
right.
get it nailed down, but um, I will say that now that I have all the parts, I do plan on refining them and making them more cast friendly. And so this kit will be available again as soon as we figure out the kinks.
Okay.
As you know, excuse me, I'm still got a little ill and
Tickle.
still got ill and yeah, I'm sucking down cough drops like there's no tomorrow, dude. Uh,
Yeah, that's this. My partner had the same exact type thing. He had a cold. He got over the cold, but he could not get rid of the cough, and he had that tickle for like 3 weeks.
yeah, yeah. I told my wife to go get an industrial bag of of cough drops, and she did not disappoint. It's about
I
gone.
I
Um,
recommend tea,
that's all I
uh,
drink.
peppermint tea with honey.
I might try that. I've been doing the tangerine. It seems to
But
help.
it's the
Um,
honey, I think, that coats the throat and
oh
it
yeah,
soothes it.
oh yeah.
So there you go.
It's been around for thousands of years.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Uh,
but
Go ahead.
the thing I liked about the 4-inch was the ability to remove parts easier. They seemed more like dolls the smaller they got. You had the snaps, and you had, you know, you could. It seemed a little easier to customize to me. I haven't done a whole lot of 6-inch figure customs, um, admittedly. Probably won't. I don't know. I do prefer the 4-inch, even though I collect all the 6-inch. I mean, don't get me wrong, but um, um, so when you casting when you're transferring that over to 6-inch figures, the 4-inch technology of, like, when we did that Roddy coat, that seam was supposed to be separated, but the 3D printer fused it together, right?
Yes.
So no longer does it cast easier, but it also makes it harder to get on the figure once it is cast, even though it is flex resin. So what was it, 15, 20, maybe not that many, times two seams had to be cut with a razor blade down the side of that coat,
Yeah.
doing 2 right angles. So one slip will ruin the coat, and I think I did cut a few, go past that turn, it's ruined. So what I'm trying to do is make it easier for it not only to be molded up, but also once the cast is out of it, I don't have to boil every single one and cut it, because all that work, one wrong cut, so you either put snaps on it or you cast one that's separated. But I've got 3D printed parts that are hard as a rock. I don't know how fun you find cutting rocks with an X-Acto blade is, but it's not very fun.
Doesn't sound like it would be.
No, and doing a right angle cut and then going back down. So either put a snap on it or it has to be cast separate, and that's what we're just trying to figure out right now,
Well, all this is
without having to
experience.
alter it in the computer.
Gotcha. Well, it all comes with experience. The more you do something, the more things you learn, and the better you get as you go along. No matter what it is that you do in life, that's the way it is.
Yeah,
And this stuff, you guys don't have the resources that like a Hasbro or Mattel or whoever.
not
So
even
you're
close.
yeah, so you're doing this stuff from your homes and things like that. So of course there's going to be some learning curve and some waste probably in there learning the stuff. I have
Oh
a
yeah,
friend that does a lot of 3D printed stuff for 6 inch, and he's doing like play sets, and he's trying to do O-rings and stuff like that. And I've been watching his videos, and it seems he's getting finer with each thing that he makes and stuff like that. He learns all the tricks and how he can put the rivets and stuff, and it's all trial and error, you know.
it is. It is, and you build upon each failure. Trust me.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Oh, uh, so what's your inspiration for the things that you like doing, and where do you take your inspiration from to do this sort of work?
Well, um, as I alluded to earlier, I thought that the Pursuit of Cobra was kind of like the pinnacle of 4-inch line, and I think a lot of us were hoping that a lot more figures would be released, a lot more characters that didn't get, you know, didn't make it from their original design into a modern form. And I mean, even from the uh, new sculpt area, like it's just an endless pot. But they moved on. So there's a lot of people out there that are still looking for their favorite character in 4-inch form and obscure ones. Like I like the obscure ones. I talked about Toll Booth and that's, I mean, it is obscure, but there are way more obscure. I mean, take Black Star for example, or
But wasn't
Lobotomax.
there
Okay,
what
so
wasn't there a
so
toll booth?
what's that?
Wasn't there a 4-inch toll
There
booth for the
was,
FSS line?
there was, but I mean, but you didn't find them in Walmart. I mean, you had
Oh,
to. I mean, even now, I mean, you're going to pay over $100 probably for them
wow.
if you missed them. So um, what I like to do is I like, I guess you say inspiration. Well, a lot of figures are just gold mines as far as things that make a figure iconic. That are just that are on there that even in their modern form that were missed. So like if you wanted to make a Black Star, for example, let's bring him up again. I would take a um, torso of his original release, and I would make a mold of that, and then I would hollow out that body until I can, or the crotch area, fuse them together, or cast it separately to make a belt out of it, um, and to turn that body into web gear essentially, and cast it in flex so that it fits over a buck or a body, either Marauder or a figure that's out there that's been released that you know will will roughly fit. Like there's a yellow Marauder buck out there. So you slap your your Black Star hollowed out torso that's turned into web gear and slip that over his chest, and you've got his pistol and the head that's been converted for modern necks that pops on, and the crotch piece that was turned into a belt, and you're almost there. So
Starter Date. That would be a fun theme. I don't think Brian, that would be a tough one for him to do because not a lot of people are fond of Star Brigade.
Yeah.
I am, but
Well, I just grabbed them at a hat. I mean, they didn't do Toxo Viper. They didn't. They didn't do. You know, God, I don't have my list in front of me, but I've got a list that I kind of work off of.
I think there was a Black Star from FSS too, wasn't there?
No, I don't
No.
think so. No.
Hmm.
There was an Air Devil, but that came with the convention set.
Yeah. They did a lot of weird, obscure stuff with the FSS. That's why I'm thinking there was a Black
Yeah,
Star, but maybe not.
yeah, it would have gotten there had it, the club not closed shop. But so I also like Secto Viper a lot. I don't know why, but I've got this love affair with Secto Viper, and so I made a kit out of that, and it's a challenging one because it's a two-part system. So if one system doesn't work, the other part doesn't, and casting a clear dome is not fun because the whole part of casting is getting it out of that mold, cutting out the original part, and getting that out safely, but also leaving whatever you cut out indistinguishable on the cast once it's out. And of course, where it's sprued and everything, there's just each one is different. Each one has a different challenge to it. Something you wouldn't think is very challenging, like a helmet, like a vintage or raw helmet. Sometimes you just got to follow the original seam, and they knew what's best. So a lot of times it's already there for you to kind of guide you.
Like a regular Duke helmet or Roadblock helmet or something?
Yes, yes.
Huh.
Because it's just so shiny and beautiful, and any mar on it, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Gotcha.
And you've got to get the resin in there somehow. And
Right.
that's done with a sprue. And I do it in a way it doesn't damage the piece, but like I said, if it's going to pick up a tampo, it's going to pick up a sprue.
Right.
So where it contacts the surface.
Gotcha.
Try to make it as minimal as possible. But so then you take the Secto Viper, you got a dome and it fits onto the neck piece, and then but it doesn't always work, because sometimes they're just too small, and you get, I mean, the 3 3/4 going to 4-inch, it just doesn't always work.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of distance to make up between your chest area and where the original crotch is. So if you just carve out the chest and put it on top, you're going to leave a distance between where that ends and where the crotch or the belt would start, and it just doesn't exist on the card art or the original figure. So you got to fill it in somehow, or it'll look silly.
That's cool.
There's only certain ways to get it, and like with my Track Viper, I mean, even the belt buckle stuck out with me. So I wanted the belt buckle. And you can't replicate the strap because it's just a strap going across here. So you have to find a strap out there in the wild or make one yourself out of web gear. And then you cast that and you just combine it all together and kind of hope it works together because you're adding snaps to it and clasps or reinventing clasps that never existed on the other side of a coat. So it's easier to get on and off figures. It's rarely straight replication. Everything is altered more or less, or improved, or fixed some way.
But that's good though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it just takes a lot longer to do because I try to be a perfectionist, but I mean, even something as 2 weeks ago, I was like, why'd I do that? So I'm always trying to learn, trying to do things different, and not get stuck in a rut and just do the same stupid thing over and over again. Just try to improve in anything I try to do.
Wow. I think you do a great job. I would love to see a lot more of your work, to see the different stuff you've done over the years, to see your progression of quality of work that you've done to show the fans.
Well, I've got a vehicle I've always wanted to do more of these, but they're so hard to do. This is one of the paint jobs I did.
Oh, wow. Desert hiss.
So this was a combination, and it actually kind of folds up.
Holy cow.
So it can be a battle station or kind of an asp, if you will, but it's got like armory inside. And it just
That's incredible.
it's just something I use for out of spare parts, doing bigger things like
And I think that's why I like the APC that we built a couple years back, because that was like all these random things.
like
But
Road
when you
Warrior.
put,
I
yeah,
love this, one of my favorite movies, man, and the Thrasher's rig, and that's how dreadnoughts roll, man.
yeah.
So well, if you want to see, if I don't know, here's of course the BET I did
Oh,
tucked
wow.
away in there, and then there's a Russian version of my Hellraiser. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, the helicopter.
Well, no, the white tank in the
Oh,
background,
yeah.
the warthog.
Oh, yeah. I see it. I think that's really cool. I love that sort of stuff because um, I turned mine into an October Guard vehicle. It was intended to be a dreadnought vehicle, but I had a friend paint mine. I don't have it here to show, but I thought it fit the October Guard vehicle that was in the second annual of the A Real American Hero comic
Yeah,
book by
yeah.
Larham. They had that APC, like half an APC, and then that gun on the back of it, and they were all in the front of it shooting out the sides.
Bro,
And then,
every time a new manual came out, I was okay. October Guard's coming this series. Come on, nothing.
no. They
Like
did eventually
really?
do them. They did eventually do them in the two packs,
Of
comic
course.
two
Yeah, and
packs.
I have those up there, but I mean like through
Yeah,
82 to 94
yeah.
when I was really reading the comic, and it's like, oh, they're putting so much into them and characters and everything. They've got to be released as figures year
Yeah.
after year. This
I
like
think it
is
was because it was the Cold War, and they
yes,
probably felt a little
they
nervous.
just wanted to stick with imaginary,
Yeah,
because then they would have to put them in the cartoons, and then
they
that's
were in the
that's
cartoons.
what
They were in the cartoons.
right. But it's easier. I mean, it's easier to shoot faceless blue terrorists like stormtroopers than it is.
Yeah,
I mean, so they never came. They never came until, of course, I certainly picked up every single one of those because they
yeah.
were uh, uh, O-ring figures, and
They're,
most of them
they're
anyway.
so they're very highly sought after now
Oh yeah,
in the market.
absolutely, and I'm glad I nabbed them up. I never opened them either.
No, very seldom do I open anything up. It has to be something that's like a buildable thing, like some sort of a like the mega construction. You have to take that apart to build it and stuff. So it's like useless to keep that in the box. Like, why are you
Oh man,
buying something?
the Creo
You know?
stuff, I kept it all in the box. I bought like 3 or 4 Terradromes on clearance for really
Wow.
cheap, and I didn't have time to assemble them, and once I started going through my stuff after I remodeled my shop and everything, and was able to you know go through my things, it became all my Creo stuff became an activity that my daughter and I would do. So she
Good.
helped me build all of it. Um, I mean, we just spent maybe 2 months doing the whole line. I haven't got my figures out yet. Like my Real American Hero is still boxed up, but I'm able to get my modern figures out. But I'm building special shelves. I'm inventing a new shelf for our raw figures, and
Wow.
they will also fit 6-inch figures.
Wow. Interesting.
They just involve a couple of very dangerous cuts on the table saw, and they're ready to go.
Be careful.
I already gotten a kickback doing it.
Oh man.
Yep, I hit a knot and it kicked back at me at quite a speed.
Oh boy.
Second time
Be
that's happened.
be careful. Be careful. Um. Oh, that's really cool. Um.
Well, the
So
thing
do
is,
you get
it's
any?
easier if you have the figures out. I'm able to pluck them like fruit from the tree and mine the details that I find in them. that maybe go sometimes overlooked on a figure,
Yeah.
that just need to be made as an accessory to go on something else, like sculpted in um, uh, pipe bombs or something, or a belt buckle.
Right.
Uh, I mean, I've sold hundreds of bull and skull and crossbone belt buckles, just
Huh.
little tiny belt that that are just like unappreciated details that I think that just should be something else, you know. And I mean, a lot of the figures that we love, a lot of those little details are just what make them iconic. That most people in our outside our hobby wouldn't know or even care.
It's true. You're right. A lot of the symbols from like different branches of the military, or characters that have different symbols from different countries and so on, that means something to the people that care about those particular characters.
Absolutely. And I never liked putting stickers on my vehicles just because I hated the dust that collected around the outside. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still have dozens of unapplied 80s sticker sheets. And um, uh, some of the vehicles, obviously, that I've collected over the years already have the stickers on them. And one of my favorite ones, and it was just some random sticker, but it's just a cool design. It was on the his tank, the his two. It was just, where is it? Yeah, it's just one of these little things that just go unnoticed. They're,
Right.
they're
So
just
you get in
they're
there.
just I don't know. They stick in your head, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, just the minute details and things. I remember like going through the Defiant gantry and
Oh yeah.
finding all the parts that recycled and put in there, and how they put in all those patterns. And
Yeah. There's a lot of hidden stuff in there,
yeah.
from what I understand. Names and all kinds of different things.
Like my holy grail would be like a factory mold that survived India somehow from the 80s. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be like the flag. Well, I've got several flags, so that's not really fair. But just imagine some rare GI Joe set out there. I'd rather have a mold, even if it's some dumb whatever. If it's the Pogo or the Buzzsaw, I don't care. I would
Love
just
the
like to have
pogo.
like a
Oh
real
my
injection mold just sitting on my hearth.
I love the Pogo. I hope it gets done as a classified vehicle, because it is like one of the craziest vehicles that it's fun. I hope it can
Yeah,
bounce. I hope it does everything that it
yeah, they
should
could put real
do.
hydraulics in it.
Yeah.
That'd be
Why, they've
rad.
done it. We've seen it. Hasbro's done it with the Millennium Falcon doors, where when you have the deluxe, the super Millennium Falcon, I mean the really nice one, the doors, when you press a button, it releases, go psst,
Oh,
and it
that's
goes down with hydraulics. So they've done it.
huh.
I
Yeah,
love that.
I'm all about the pogo. I'm the
I think
cheesier,
it's fun.
the flashier it gets, man. I'm not afraid of color. You know, I love it.
Oh yeah,
I love
it's
the
fun.
neon.
I love all the fun stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
I
I
mean
know there are a lot.
it's
There's a big,
science fiction.
yeah.
That's what I liked it. It's fun. It's military and it's science fiction. It's
Well, and that's the thing. There's a big contingent that's more into the military part of it. I was more into the fantasy and sci-fi elements, and there's plenty of those.
yeah.
And that's where I leaned heavily into that element. And the Pogo, that storyline with Raptor and the Armor Cobra Commander and the Fred 7, all that stuff, that was just fantastic stuff.
I did enjoy the cartoon. I more or less watched the cartoon.
Yeah.
It's because it's GI Joe, but I watched for the commercials to see what was coming next. I was always a comic book purist. I'm like,
Yeah.
I only follow the comic book canon. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
like what is this Flint, Lady J, like Duke, Scarlet thing? It was no Snake Eyes, Scarlet. That's it.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. I would get my GI Joe comic book in that brown sleeve. in the mail once a month.
Oh, you
Open
were a
on both
mail away
ends.
guy because you're in the Midwest. That's why.
Yeah, I still have a lot of those old sleeves.
Wow. Yeah, I was on the East Coast, so I got to go to comic stores and flea markets that had comics at them in the mid 80s.
Yeah,
I was just talking to Larry the other day, and he said, yeah, that's why the mail away subscription service was so high. And that's why that comic, G.I. Joe comic, did so well for Marvel Comics, is because all of you kids in the Midwest were ordering subscriptions to G.I. Joe.
that's what it was, man. And if I missed one, I would have to go I would have to go to this bookstore in my small Kansas town, and they didn't have any problem stocking the shelves. I was able to get almost everything ever released there. I mean, it had great toy stores, but there was just a bookstore, and they would do a date stamp on the back of it, or they do it right in the middle of the cover. So if you
Oh,
missed it, that was your only option. But we would travel a lot. I'd go to comic book stores in Kansas City and Wichita, and so I was able to fill them all in, more or less, because I started collecting the comic book. I think issue 16, maybe 15 or 16. So I had to go back and collect the first 14. I did have the first comic book, so I had to collect number 2 through 14 or 13 or something like that. And number 2 was hard to find
oh
because
yeah.
it was they did a reprint of it, and I wanted to get the original. So I think I paid like $40 for that when I was what
And you know the
that was
reason
a lot of
being,
money to do for a comic book when I was like 10 or 11.
wow, that is. But the reason why that is one of the most sought after issues is because the print run drops
Oh
30%
yeah, it
after
always
the
does.
initial release.
Yeah.
So that's why that particular one went down. And it was for a long time, it became one of the hardest ones to find. And now, because of the internet and all this, now it's not as difficult to find. The last 5 issues, issue 50 to 55, are probably the hardest issues to find because their print runs are way, way low.
You mean the original 50?
Yeah, yeah.
Really? The-
150 to
Oh,
155.
of course, yeah. So I'm missing. I think I have up to 132, and I
Wow.
don't have the last 12 or so, and
Yeah,
or what is it, 155,
tricky.
right? Yeah.
Yep,
So
tricky.
yeah, and it's just not something I went through my comic book phase. I've been recently getting rid of a lot of my valuable ones, and
Uh,
um, it's just after my mom's fire. Like I don't want paper around; it's expensive. I just and it does something to you, and um, but you want to see some like an old school custom?
sure.
All right, this is going to be hard to pull off, maybe. Before I left college, I was, like I said, doing foundry work. And then I had gotten that job with the foundry at the same time I was just graduating. So it was kind of like split between the two. So I was able to use um, the foundry's technology and take it back to the school and cast the actual metal there. The stuff at the foundry was a ceramic shell that it started off as wax, and you cover it with the liquid ceramic shell that would be in 55-gallon drums, which is thousands of dollars worth of ceramic shell. But we were
Wow.
dealing with large objects, so we had to dunk them in. So I was able to make really large casts for very cheap because I was working there. So I would dunk this casting wax in this ceramic shell, and then it would have a sprue on it, just like the plastic casts that I do, but solid metal, and that would give you a funnel for the metal to flow into the piece, right? And it would you would burn all the wax out and would leave it hollow. So you'd have a ceramic shell over wax. You'd burn out the wax would leak out, and then you pour the metal in that space, so that void where the wax was, and the ceramic shell would hold it once it was fired. So
Right.
that's what I did with this. This is
Cool.
like one of my first castings. Solid solid cast iron.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What in the world is that?
I was making an installation, a gallery installation with bombs, solid cast iron bombs.
Holy cow.
I made like 7 or 8 of these.
That looks like
Yeah,
it
this
could
was
be
like
like,
100 pounds. So this was all covered. This was wax originally.
wow.
So um, those were candy shells that were like, the shells that you pour chocolate into. I cut
Yeah.
the squares out and applied that to the wax and made them a wax cast of the candy shell, and I molded the wax onto the rest of the wax. You can see here.
Wow. It looks
So
really
that
cool.
would burn out and leave an area for you to cast, through the ceramic shell.
That
That,
looks like some sort of a organic type thing that they might use in Cobra La or something like that.
yeah.
It looks fun. Wow.
So
That's
that's
neat.
it's like one of my first casts.
Thanks
I
for
did a
showing that.
I did a lot of weaponry. It was right around 2001 where I was doing these bombs, and it wasn't really the right time. 2001 September,
Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah. I
uh,
can see why you stopped there.
well, it wasn't just that. It was I lost my facility, so I wasn't able to cast, and so you know I told you I was doing gallery shows. It was
Yeah.
paintings, so I had to go. Nobody tells you when you switch from painting to printmaking or sculpture or whatever. It's like, hey, you're going to lose these facilities one day unless you're a teacher or a professor.
Right.
So you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars putting up a cast iron cupola or a printing press. And,
You could have became an intern.
well, Warhol did.
Yeah,
He had a whole crew.
you did. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So that's the thing. I, I, I can only do so much as one person.
Right.
So it, I'm kind of right now with the rut I've been in as far as like outside of the GI Joe world, other than um, some of our friends passing. Um, I've been kind of laying low a little bit as far as not being online a whole lot, just because running your own business, it takes a lot of work. Just to there's always something to do.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of new stuff I want to show and share. But
I'd love to see it.
with everything in my personal life and everything that's been going down, it was just, I want orders, don't get me wrong, but when you're dealing with a bunch of BS, you know, and being sick too, you don't want to make it worse on yourself and make everyone's orders late so there's only so much you can do as one person. So there's only so big you can get. So it's
Right.
you can plateau a lot of times and say, well, I could do all this, but then how will I pull it off? How will I get it to everyone?
Right.
It's a balance you gotta kind of deal with.
You have to use some sort of realistic expectation on yourself.
Well, there's a lot of people that did what I do and got in a lot of trouble because they couldn't deliver because they got overwhelmed. And it's really easy to do. You
Oh
could
yeah.
set all your inventory to infinite and not have any scruples, I guess, and just like rob Peter to pay Paul, just keep the orders flowing in, whether you can get them on time or not. That's not how I roll. So I like to keep the anxiety level at a minimum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you do seem. I've known you for a few years now, and you do seem a very like low key type of guy. Except when you get into that mode that you're really having fun, I can tell when your fun level has come on. You're just like, oh wow, I'm doing what I love. This is
Yeah.
my thing, GI Joe. I'm with people that want to do this. That's when I see your energy go up. But normally, you're pretty easy keeled guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to have a bigger online presence. But I mean, I'm on all these platforms and I get notifications all day long. It's like, okay, today is going to be my day that Or Friday will be my day. I reappear like I'm moving the stone from the cave. I'm not making any comparisons. I'm just making an allegory here that I'm going to crawl out. I mean, okay, Monty Python is a perfect example. The Holy Grail, the guy in the hole with the bush around his,
Yeah.
with the juniper
Right.
berry bush.
Yeah.
That's been me for a while, bro. It really has. And so just crawling out, all I got to do is get out of that hole, and once I'm out, but yeah, I don't know, man. I opened the store and I reopened the store, grabbed a hold of the handle like a train and grabbed on. And it's been a ride, up and down ride. But when you're having your own business and you're doing everything, something's going to suffer. Something is, and me becoming a hermit, I guess that's the suffering part.
Your personal life was the sacrifice.
The online one, anyway. Yes, and in a lot of ways, my real life too. I mean, I don't go shoot around to golf with the boys. I don't go play pool with the boys. I mean, I'm just like, yeah, I'm locked in, man.
Well, you gotta invite some people over there to hang out with you at the
People do come
studio.
by. They do.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, there are local pickups, and I'm hoping maybe to get more people in the area because I mean, there are a lot of Kansas City GI Joe collectors, and and we only see each other when we're going into Des Moines.
Well, that's bad when you live in the same city or the same area. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that I associate with in my community do live 2 to 3 hours from me. I have a guy that lives right in my town, and I try to see him as much as possible. Bill Leach, if you're watching this, you know who you are. You're in my town. You got to come visit more often. But
Shout out to Bill.
yeah. But yeah, I understand completely trying to get people together to do stuff because everybody's adulting. Everybody's trying to take care of their problems and their issues and this and that. And it's difficult. It is difficult. It's not like when we were younger, you could just get a bunch of the guys together and go off and have some adventure and do something.
Yeah.
I did it for years, like you were saying earlier, but
Yeah,
it's not
I
the
was a
same thing.
roamer. I didn't get late. I got married late in life and had kids late in life, and I would have had more had that not happened. But definitely was a thrill seeker for sure. I dodged a lot of near deaths.
Wow.
I don't know how I did, but somehow I'm still here.
You're still with us and you're still making cool stuff and helping other people make cool stuff. I'm very
That's the idea,
appreciative.
It does provide a lot of therapy for a lot of people. It does. I mean, doing this.
It's escapism.
It is.
Remember in the old days where people would do like little metal miniatures of
I
like Civil
do.
War guys, and
I do. My
those guys did
brother's
that.
friend had a whole wall of them. I still have a couple he gave me. The little
Yeah,
revolutionary figures.
yeah.
Yes.
So this is our generation's World War II, Civil War, type stuff.
That
That's
was my
what we
first
do.
brush with troop building. Oh, you could get more than one Cobra troop. Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh man, because we're all organized and we're all kind of anal retentive in a certain way. So we want things to be organized with our hobbies as well.
Yeah.
But
That's the idea.
um, so is there anything cool that you're working on that you can give us some hints at for
Yes.
maybe the next assembly required or armor or whatever without having Brian Sauer come in here and zap you?
Well, nothing yet for that yet because the seed was just planted.
Uh,
But I think I have some lab stuff I could show.
sure.
Yeah. Can I step away for just a second?
Yeah.
I gotta grab it.
I can just talk to the audience.
Oh yeah, them. I guess so.
Uh,
Just a minute.
okay. Oh, Sometime Toys. I'm sorry that you're stuck at work. I've done that many a times where I've been at work and I've been sneaking. I sneak away to listen to Full Force, or I sneak away to listen to Toy Kind of Mood, or Articulate Points, or podcasts, or whatever. So I'm right there with you. Or I have to check out the new reveals for Hasbro Pulse, or this or that. I've been at work many a times when I've had to do that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping this is entertaining to you in your minutes of escape in between work and adulting, as I like to call it, adulting. But yeah, it's fun. Thanks for joining us on this, Ronnie Trickshot and Same Time Toys. I appreciate you guys chiming in there. It's cool. This is really fascinating. I love seeing how the sauce is made, and Kobe's a really nice guy. So I hope he's teaching you a lot of stuff here.
Okay.
Um,
Here we
oh,
go.
he's back. Cool.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I was talking to the audience.
All right. Well, I'll show this first because I don't know if I'm going to pursue this or not, but I think I showed this to you at the show.
You
Here's
showed us a couple ideas that you were working on. So
Yeah,
I
here's
do.
Road Pig on his rat cycle.
Oh, wow. Look at that thing.
Hey,
Holy
isn't that
smokes.
thing cool? Yeah.
Talk
So
about Mad Max. That's Mad Max all the way through.
yeah, with a little LSD thrown in, and then so it's off. Hoping to get a better Road Pig head out there, based on um, the Dreadnought set, the Big Bad Toy Store Dreadnought set 7-pack, just enlarged. But
Yeah, it does look better. It does look more like that. You're right.
there it goes.
There's a guy that goes to Joe Fest. I keep telling him he needs to dress up as Road Pig. He looks just like Road Pig. If someone could make him a costume, he'd be like the spitting image of Road Pig.
I think he has. I think I know who you're talking about.
He's a vendor.
What?
This guy's a vendor.
Yeah. What was the last time you saw? What was the last costume you saw him in?
He doesn't wear costumes. He's a vendor.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I
All
think
right.
he should.
I'm sorry. I got you.
So, if you go to Joe Fest this year, I'm going to point him out to you. You tell me if you agree with me.
All
When
right.
I'll point him out to you at Joe Fest.
Hey, man, you need to spend thousands of dollars to look like this guy.
No, I told him already. I said,
there
you
was
look
a
like
dude. There was a dude that went to JoeCon all the time that actually looked like Ripper. I mean, that was his look.
Yeah,
All he had to do was throw on a shirt. He was there. It
yeah.
was
There's a
beautiful.
lot of people that there are a lot of people that look like the characters. It's funny.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to go as Avac, but yeah, that's a lot of silver. So I have to get a helmet made. So I have gone as Toll Booth. I did go 1 year. I did cosplay 1 year, and
You should bring that to the convention. I would love to see you in that.
yeah,
And
I still
the
have it.
finest.
Yeah, I've got this like I don't have a plain brown vest. I've got like a '60s one that has triangles that go down each side. It's pretty sweet. So I give them a little flair.
Well, that's fine.
So yeah, I have. Where did I just put them? Okay, so I've been working on a lot of vests, and so here's a.
Who's that for?
That's the bomb squad vest.
Oh, cool.
Uh, Steel Brigade. More Steel Brigade.
Wow, you get a lot of detail into those. I can see that detail.
Suit jacket.
Ah, Crimson Twins.
An unreleased piece that was supposed to be a part of Joe Renegades, and it was it wasn't fully released, so I was able to make a copy of It's Halo vest.
Oh, cool.
So let's see. As far as releasing a lot a lot more Ara or O-ring things are coming.
Yeah.
A lot more of that. And then Red Shadows is pretty hot right now, so I'm working on a lot of that stuff.
Cool. I wonder if they would, Brian would ever consider doing an adventure or an action force theme, or would that be too thin of a theme for him to try to pull that off?
Well, he did Robo Skull 1 year.
Yeah, I did. That's true. You're right. That's when Ben brought his silver Robo Skull.
Yeah, he bought several for the show. I was able to buy one from him, so that's how I was able to get my Robo Skull.
A vintage Robo Skull.
Yes.
They go for a heavy price nowadays.
Hey, hold on.
Oh yeah, there it is. And the new one right next to each other.
That's right.
Wow, good job. I don't have a vintage one yet because I can't afford one. They're like upwards of $1,000 now.
Oh
Gosh.
man, I did the JoeCon show in Dallas. Had a booth. I was right across from Roma Toys. Peace out, Aaron. But he had one facing me the whole weekend. It's like I'm gonna go buy that. Oh, I gotta make a sale. I'm gonna go buy that. And like the day I was gonna get it from it got sold. It was like $175. It was
Huh, I wonder
cheap.
if that was I wonder if that was the one Patrick Stewart bought. Because he said he bought
Maybe,
one from Roma.
maybe that's where he got it then. I had my
Man,
eye dude, but I ended up getting it a year later, so
oh,
it all worked out. But or
yeah.
maybe a couple of years later.
Wow. Oh, I'll get one someday. I'm patient. I'm a patient person.
Yeah, one will turn up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I I had to replace. I was able to cast all the parts for it, the missiles and some of the other things, the small parts for it. I ended up doing the feet as well.
Wow.
So when I did get that from Brian, it had a few. It was the junk, not the junk one, but it was still nice, but it was missing some parts. So
The
I was
scratch and
able to
dent
replace
version.
able to replace some of the parts with casts, and hey, that's all right for me as long as I got
I,
one.
I'm, when it comes to that sort of stuff, I'm not a mint complete person. I
Not
got
when
a
it comes
night.
to vehicle. Yeah, I
I
am, but when something like a release like that,
Yeah,
it's not domestic. I can.
yeah. Well, I got the the Night Force whale, and it was missing. I think one of the rotors, and I had somebody was selling sets of those rotors, 3D printed, and I was
Mhm.
like, it cost me $500 for this thing, and it was 99.9% complete except for this like rotor, and I was like, I'm not gonna quibble over one rotor being a 3D printed part because it
Yeah,
cost me $500
yeah.
and it's 100% complete almost. So I'll just get one part that's 3D printed.
Well,
It
think
doesn't
about
hurt my
this,
feelings.
man, dude. Like major museums. Do you think you're looking at complete dinosaur
No,
skeletons?
you're
Half
right.
of it's casts
Yeah,
or plaster repair.
yeah.
So if they're good enough for museums, it's good enough for my basement collection toy room. You know, did that part come orange or was
It
it?
was orange.
Oh,
Yeah, it
good.
was 3D printed in the exact color. It
Really,
matched exactly. Yeah, it was really cool. I was
I
very
haven't
happy.
been able to do those until now because I discovered a new color line that I can use with my resins, and they have an orange that it's just like it. So that
I
might
can
open
go.
some doors. I've
I,
always wanted to do a custom line of Night Force pack rats.
I can get it. I'm gonna do what you did. I'm gonna go and get it and show it off because it's identical to the other colors of the rest of it, and you can't tell the difference. It's perfect. Hold on.
Don't drop it.
I won't. So here it is.
She's sexy.
So this is the 3D printed red part, all right? But if you look at, say, this gun, for instance, or this cannon there, it's identical. You can't.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
It's
That's the
identical.
challenge. That's the challenge with parts replication, because not only you got to get the original color, someone might have set it in a window and the sun
Right.
hit it and
Faded.
changed it. So
Yep.
it's a big challenge, and kudos to anybody who can nail the color like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a really good job. But like I said, that was the only parts I was missing, was that set of those, and so everything else was here. And it's worth. I think it was worth the $500. And I was like, screw it. I'll just get the 3D print because I'm having a difficult time trying to reconstruct my dreadnought ground assault motorcycle, because I've been buying pieces of that thing for years. I'll buy a piece here for $100, a
Yeah.
piece here for $20, a piece here for $30, and different people have sold me parts to it, and it's taken me forever to get my ground assault complete because the parts for that are like impossible.
Yeah. I got lucky. I used to buy collections, and um I bought one collection in Texas that had like 3 ground assault sets and flight
What?
sets. Yeah, he army built them,
Oh my God.
and I obtained. Yeah, you want to see them?
Yeah, because I have one, but mine's is incomplete.
Now, I didn't army build the motorcycle.
Oh.
Um, he army built the van, but I sold all of them except for what I kept.
Well, and that's the thing. The vamp parts are hard to find too. Thankfully, I had most of the vamp parts, but didn't have all the motorcycle parts.
So
So I've been putting them
this
both together.
I don't know if
But
you can. I don't know if you can see my dreadnought shrine. Is it too dark?
it's a little too dark, but I can see Zorana there. I think that's
Hold on,
Zorana.
I got a solution.
That place is awesome. I have to come visit you. If I'm in Des
Yeah,
Moines, if I'm up in Des Moines for next year's thing, I've got to come down there.
come on down. I don't
Maybe I'll
know.
drive.
Does that help?
Yeah, that's better. Oh, yeah, look at those. Holy smokes. You know how much those are worth?
Yeah,
God. If you had those mint in boxes, they'd be worth like 20, like $1,800, $1,900.
yeah. I'm fond of the dreadnoughts.
Well, I need to give you a list of the parts I'm missing. See if you got any
Yeah, I
extra.
might have some. I mean, I've got parts galore, dude. I've got I'm all separated and in bins and fairly easy to find. So
I
uh,
bet.
as far as like, I do have some ground assault extra parts. I know I do, and Night Force too.
Wow. Well, then you might be my guy I'm going to be going to. You should be
Well, I
bringing
don't
that
need them.
stuff.
I mean, uh, I've added every. I mean, I've completed everything that I have on my shelves, and what's left over is what I don't need anymore. So
Well, you need to bring that stuff to the convention. You need to have a
yeah,
table and have somebody man your table
I
and
was
start
going to
selling
do
that.
that, but I wanted to get some of the bigger stuff out of my life. You know, I took all my Sigma 6 stuff, all my 12-inch Hall of Fame, all that kind of 12. You know, like I said, you know, when I started collecting again in '98, I picked up a little bit of everything, and I ended
Yeah.
up with tons of just everything.
I
And
think I bought some Sigma 6 from you at the last
well, there
at the
you go.
last Assembly Required. I was in your booth looking at those, and I
Yeah,
bought a handful of things from you, I believe.
yeah. Some dude came in and bought like almost all of it in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, take it, man. I
There's
don't know.
not a lot
I
of
kept
us.
what I wanted from that line, and there's some cool things here and there. But I mean, I didn't go nuts with it. But
There's
there's
not a
like,
lot of Sigma 6 collectors out there, but the ones that are really love it. Like I know
yeah,
Justin Bell loves it. I love it. And I've been trying to reacquire the whole set, and I've been doing it a little bit here, a little bit there when I've found things at the right price. I'm trying to find them all mint in box, which is even harder.
That's what I did.
Uh,
I never opened any of them.
yeah,
I opened, well, I opened a few, but like the troop builders I got, I opened up. But I mean, there was the thing with it was like 40, like with any line they do, but 40 snake eyes, 40 storm shadows. I mean, I liked all the Zartans and the Destros, the money bags, the toxic Zartan. I
yeah.
love those. I'm not getting rid of those ever. But I
Well,
mean, I
I
kept a
think
couple snake eyes that I thought were cool, but the rest of them, like,
they have a really nice silhouette. I think if I had the space and I had the really cool ability, the money ability to really put stuff on display the right way,
yeah,
I think Sigma 6 makes a very beautiful silhouette
I
with
agree.
all their gear and weapons and
I
stuff. They
agree.
really strike a nice pose, but they need to be in the right case, the right display in
Mm,
order to do that. Right now, I don't have that
yeah,
ability.
I agree. I mean, right now, I've just like all my racks I showed you earlier is they're just kind of like meshed together, just because. I mean, either that or they're going to be in a box. So
Right. You
I
get
mean,
them
it's
out.
just something I appreciate looking at the artwork and
Right.
everything,
Yeah.
and they're safer that way sometimes, especially
Right.
how much construction I do once in a while, um, and having a cat about.
Cats will
But
knock all that down. I
you know,
hope you don't let your cat down there.
she's I do. She's amazingly graceful. She has gotten up in the most obscene areas of my foundation, like this path she takes, and there's all these like expensive figures with their accessories on them, and she's long haired black cat, and she somehow gracefully maneuvers through them up to now without knocking a single thing down. I'm more of a klutz than she is.
Ah, huh.
Yeah, she's my lab cat, so she doesn't even get phased by the compressor. It goes off, and it's like 10 feet from her. It doesn't even phase her. It's incredible.
She's used to it.
I guess.
She's adapted to her environment.
Well, she comes down in that room I showed you. She comes down and wants to go in, and she takes a circle around the aircraft carrier every morning, and she's searching for mice. And that's her routine every day. It's she's like, I gotta clock in. Okay, now you gotta feed me. I've done my work. I'm going to sleep. You're welcome.
Funny.
Yeah.
Um, so, you're going to be going to Assembly Required again this year. So I look forward to seeing you.
I'm hoping to go to
Uh,
Joe Fest. I'm hoping to
you're going to
catch a
go to Joe
ride.
Fest. So I'll
Hoping to
see you
catch a
for.
ride
Okay.
there this year and help man a booth. It probably won't be a lab booth. Just be going to get back. You know.
I think Brian and Travis will be back this year. They did very well at last year, as they told me. So they're coming this year again, I think. So are you
Yeah,
going to
they
be
are.
helping them?
Yeah, probably.
Well, I think you should bring some of that rare parts with you to sell at the convention.
Yeah,
I bet you can make some good money.
I'm gonna be bringing that probably and most likely a big stash of JoeCon stuff I've been holding back. I mean, I I got what I wanted out of what I purchased and I feel safer selling that kind of stuff person to person rather than chipping it off and
Yeah,
somehow not get there.
yeah, exactly, exactly. A lot of those sets, those collector sets from the convention, they go for a big, big premium right now.
I know I'm only missing two of them, and I'll never obtain them.
No, because they're too expensive, probably, right?
Yeah, it's the first Crimson Guard set, and
Oh yeah, that one's like $2,500.
oh yeah, the O-ring one,
Yeah.
and the uh, what was it? Iron Grenadier set. Yeah, I thought it
Ah,
was the Dreadnought Rampage one, but I did get that one. I pieced that one together. But I my first JoeCon was 2001 in
wow.
Kansas City, and met a lot of the people I'm still friends with today. But I bought a house in 2000, that same year, 2001, 2003. So I was saving up for a house. I wasn't able to go to San Fran because I had just moved from there. I
Right.
lived there for several years. Like, I'm buying a house there. I'm not going back to where I was just living, even if it's just for a weekend. So I didn't go to that one, and I didn't go to 2005. I did the home front hero package 2005. I think I pieced that together, so I didn't get that either. So actually the last, it was 2001, then I went 2006 and never stopped until it ended. So I've got a smattering of all that stuff.
You're one of the old school guys. I would consider you in that group of people, the old school community. I came in 2010 myself, so you're 10 years before me.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though I didn't go back till like 2006, but in New Orleans.
No, but you were still involved in stuff like that,
Yeah, I mean, my first online site was Joe Sightings and then Joe Battle Lines. But I wasn't Avac. What was I? Raven. Yeah, after the Night Raven. Raven SR something.
Oh, wow.
Raven SR 71 on Joe Sightings. And I remember going home when I was going home and getting all my stuff and bringing it back here, Kansas City. I found all my boxes. And I had originally saved all my boxes from like 1982. Wow. I remember going to a water slide, and my mom cleaned out my closet when I was at this water park, and I came home, and she had cut out all the flower cards and even the flag points. But then she discarded, because I was with my dad on weekends, and I came back, and she had thrown out 1982 to 1984. All the most of the boxes. But I got all the file cards that were cut out and everything, but I lost it, man. Trust me. But other than, like, after that year, I had saved every box, and I went home and I got them out of the attic, and I made a big, like, in my dad's house. I brought them from my mom's house on my way to going home, and I took them all out and I set them up in the garage. Made a gigantic pyramid. It went from the floor to like the ceiling.
Huh.
And yeah, I was kind of ripped to shreds for doing that. I like call me like a spoiled little shit or whatever. It was a really bad experience. I mean, I was on there for like a year, and I was like, man, fuck these guys. And pardon my language. And like, I just kind of left online community after that, and then didn't get back into the community until like 2006, 7. I think it was like His Tank, and then Yojo.com, and yeah. So
well, if you have all those boxes, you know who would love to look at those boxes is Carson, because he scans that box art for his books and stuff like that. He's always looking for boxes that he doesn't have, and ones that he needs and things like that. So if you have a lot of that still even 84 on, that's still a lot of good
they're
art.
The aircraft carrier box that all fit inside. I like those Russian dolls that so you were able to fit them all
the other.
Yes. And my dad was in the Navy, and he worked on an aircraft carrier, so like, he wanted the flag more than I did. So that was my dad's house basement coffee table. And I mean, I'd come there on the weekend, and I'd see he messed around with the jets and stuff. I knew he was playing with it. I mean, he had a model train set, and so, I ended up with a lot of stuff. I had divorced parents, so plus my mother and stepfather had a home business like I do. It's where I get it from.
Gotcha.
And my stepdad invented like a little cog thing, or a remote thing that goes in satellite TVs in your backyard. Those big dishes that people had. We used to have to go out there and take a CB radio with somebody on the inside and say, all right, turn it turn it an eighth of an inch this way,
Ah,
to get your
yeah,
reception. Well, he
right.
made like a motor drive, so you could do that from the inside of your house,
Oh,
and so it would automatically turn the dish to the right signal. This is before cable TV, satellite television.
right.
So after school, I'd come home and assemble these little cogs. So each little servo engine or whatever and cog I put together, I'd get like 10 cents.
Huh,
So the more I could put together, the more figures I could buy. So
of
that's how it
course.
worked. You know?
That's interesting that you did manufacture and construction and build stuff when you were a child.
Yeah, I was child home labor, dude, but I was paid for it. And, they allowed me to have like a kind of a setup I have behind me. I had one at my dad's house. I kept my vehicles there and I kept my figures at my mom's house. So I would take my figures to my dad's house on the weekends and, get out the vehicles and his my vehicle shelf was right next to this shower in the basement.
Huh,
He didn't have a shower upstairs. He had to go downstairs to this walk-in shower, and I had my vehicles there.
wow.
Total rich. We were rich. Yeah, right. But
He's an
they
inventor.
supported my collecting, and I took care of what I bought and what they bought, and so yeah, I worked many hours after school assembling things, and you know nothing's changed, I guess.
You have that personality apparently that you like putting things together and
I
stuff.
do.
I can only imagine if you got into Lego what that place would be like
Oh man,
because
I do have some Lego. I have some castle sets, and then
you
the
do,
Koreas. Yeah, I
when
do
you never got obsessed with it.
a little bit, but they were so expensive that
Yeah.
you know you were really lucky to get like even the little play sets like the blacksmith shop or the jousting set. They were like $30. You could get so much more if you got a Transformer or a GI Joe, and
That's true.
it
I
was it
I've
was
told the
it
story
was like
many
going to a
times.
restaurant and
Yeah,
ordering a steak. That would be
right.
buying Lego, and buying GI Joe would maybe be buying a Happy Meal.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% because I told a story about the first time I got my Havoc. It was only $16, but that is big. I have my vintage, not my vintage, but a boxed Havoc over there. It's pretty big for 16 bucks.
Yeah, yeah.
And Legos were like what, this small, like, and it was like $30 for those.
Hmm.
Yeah, because they were coming from another country, and there wasn't the licensing fees that GI Joe didn't have because Hasbro owned that property. There was an
Yep.
ingrown property, so they didn't have all those costs that Lego had. For
Well, that and the vehicles were made here in the States.
oh yeah,
Yeah, the
that's
figures were
true.
made in China, and most of the
Yeah,
vehicles and playsets were. I think I remember hearing some like they were transferring the tops of the USS Flag down the highway to Hasbro or from there or from the factory because I think Rubbermaid made them. If I'm not
wow.
mistaken, I could be wrong on that. Just the deck part, and they were taking them back to Pawtucket or whatnot, and like like a whole load of them like flew off the semi and hit the deck on the highway and got destroyed.
Oh my god, I'm gonna
Yeah,
ask Kurt Busiek next time I see him at
yeah,
a
I think it was
convention. I'm
something
gonna
like
ask
that.
him that.
Yeah, ask him about it. I think I remember hearing something like that. I could be totally off base on it, but it's all those kind of cool stories you hear, where you end up at dinner with them and
Yeah,
hear cool things about this or that
it's
just
true.
stay with you for a long time.
Yeah, that's why we're losing these guys, and I would love to go to DFWs to see a bunch of those guys that I haven't met. Some of them I have, some of them I've talked to in this capacity, but
Yeah, I haven't been
I'd
to
love
that
to go
show.
there. Yeah, I think
I
it's worth
should. I'm
going to
near it.
because of that, huh?
I should. I'm near it, but you know,
Well, I think it's worth it. It's the weekend after Joe Fest, but with the fact that the legends aren't going to be around that much longer, I hate to sound morbid or whatever, but
man.
there's a
After the last
time.
month, you're after the last month, man. I mean, you're completely legitimate in talking about it, man. I mean, We lost a lot of
So,
good people in the past 2 months, a month and a half.
yeah, so you got to be cognizant of your mortality in this life, and uh, take advantage of what you can. Have the experiences that you can. Do what you can with your family, your loved ones. But eventually, it's going to come to an end.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, our friend Gary, he was shoveling snow, just trying to clear a path for his car. You know, I'm on a beach in Galveston, Texas, and I get a call that he's dead. And
Sorry about that.
knowing Gary, he plays jokes all the time, and I thought it was a complete joke for a long time.
Wow. I met him, I think,
It's something he would
twice.
have done.
I I think I met him twice, but it was like the thing is with the community, you meet so many people when you come to these events. You try to connect with as many people as you can. Some people you connect with better than others. So I saw him and I met him a couple times, but I didn't really get to know him as well as other people did, obviously. But I do feel bad for the people that did know him and had a better connection with him, that they lost that connection and stuff like that. But
He's just so full of life, man. We worked a lot together at CoilCon, and he's just I just don't understand why. I don't wish death on anyone, but it seems like a lot of wicked people walk the earth too long. You know what I mean? A lot of good ones die early. I don't understand it.
there's some sort of rhyme or reason to all this that we'll never know until our story is over. But um, I would like to say that I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and all the things that you got going on, to talk a little bit about your life and what you do and what makes you happy, with me and the viewers out there, because it's been very cool, very enlightening. I've learned a lot more about you, Coby, than I've ever learned in the 3 or 4 years that I've met you at the assembly required. So
More than
thank
you
you.
ever wanted to know, man.
No, I love hearing this stuff. That's why I talk to people. This is why I do what I do. I want to learn about people. And it's fun to learn things that you didn't know and are fascinating. And sometimes you find out things that you have in common. And sometimes you find out things that you never would have expected. It's fun. I love this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So thank you.
absolutely. And thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it. It's been thank you for hanging with me there, going through what I've been going through, and then the technical issue.
Yeah, it
But
happens
we
to the
got
best
there.
of us.
So
Go ahead.
um, what else you want to throw at me?
Uh, that was all I was gonna throw at you and say thank you because it's been a couple hours, so I don't want to
Oh,
keep you
has
on
it?
here. Yeah, it's been two
This just
hours.
sailed by, man.
I know it has. It's fun. That's why we don't calculate the time because it's fun. It's something we enjoy doing.
You're gonna
But
have to put out the director's cut, dude. No one's gonna sit here and listen to me ramble for 2 hours.
well, people have. There have been people on here
Yeah.
listening to it.
Oh, excellent.
So I look forward to seeing you at Joe Fest. I look forward to seeing you, all the cool stuff you got coming up in the future. Don't be a stranger. Get back out
Absolutely.
there. Hopefully, we can talk some more again because I'm sure there's a lot more cool stuff to talk to you about in the future.
Absolutely, man. I got a lot of new stuff coming out, and I just need to, you know, crawl out of my crypt and get some vitamin D and some uh, I don't know, online connection, if you will. I guess.
Community, community.
Absolutely. Well, I hope my cold hasn't been an impairment or the
No,
sloshing of
no,
cough drops.
no. I haven't been able to tell at
Okay,
all.
good.
You've done really good. I could hear you. You were very clear. So, uh, again, thank you, Coby, and I look forward to talking to you in the future. So, for the patrons out there, if you want to see more cool interviews like this, with Coby from Avac Labs. Like, share, and subscribe to this video. And yo, jump.
Cobra!